As you might imagine, 2019 was full of new happenings and old favorites. Over the course of the year, the Chamber grew by 32 members, and we had 13 ribbon cuttings. The Chamber saw continued success in the special events, things that you have come to know and love: the annual trade show, the Working Women's Luncheon, the golf outing, my personal favorite, Foodie Fest, and the red carpet. In August, we welcomed a new administrative assistant, Lauren Shea. She's been a wonderful addition to our staff. You may have noticed her presence and certainly her touches on our social media accounts. In 2019, we also had a revival of the Grove City Young Professionals, led by the team of Alyssa Massette, Bill Grigsby, and Sharina Williams. The three have been diligently working to engage the young leaders of our community to connect, develop professionally, and be actively engaged in our business community. If you think you have any individuals who may fit well within the young professionals, I encourage you to urge them to contact the Chamber office. Overall, the Chamber continues to thrive, working hard to engage our membership and remain a positive driving influence in our business community. Thank you to each and every member who made 2019 a success. With your continued support, I'm confident that we can continue to grow and serve the community in 2020 and the years to come. So with that, thank you all.
Tonight I have the privilege of introducing the keynote speaker, who is also the 2005 Community Service Award winner. He will be the 8th speaker in our hometown series for this annual Chamber of Commerce dinner. This series is important for a lot of reasons, but tonight I cannot help but think of how our little community, nestled into Western Pennsylvania, has changed over the years. It's changed, in my perspective, because of forward thinking. And forward thinking helps a business community thrive, which is an example of what we see here tonight and one of the things that we celebrate. So before I introduce Tim, how many people in this room know Tim? Put your hand up. And how many of you have had a positive interaction because of Tim? Put your hands up. Right, so I assumed that was going to be the response. So I thought I would try to give you some new information about Tim. So I did a Google search, right, to give you something new. So I found out that Tim Bonner is actually a defensive end for Florida Atlantic University, which cannot be true, because Tim bleeds the blue and gold of his Irish of Notre Dame. I thought about making a joke about his golf game, but turns out the joke could actually be on me because his golf game's better. So I'll simply say this. Our keynote speaker has been a key player in our community since 1975. He's helped our community be safe as an assistant district attorney. He's helped families in our community through his law practice. He's helped our local governments while serving as a solicitor. He helps teach the students at Grove City College. He helps maintain high, very high ethical standards at the local, state, and national bar associations. All of these reasons would make Tim a great speaker for our 8th hometown series. However, tonight we get to hear from the past chairperson of the Grove City Medical Center, a board that he has faithfully served since 1980. We're going to hear about the past, the present, and the future of not only our community, but of our healthcare. So with that, I say let's wake up the echoes and bring Tim Bonner to this stage.
Good evening. It's a pleasure to be with you tonight. I need this up? Okay. How's that? Is that a little bit better? Okay. Eric Thomas will be speaking in a few moments, and I know we all enjoy Eric's presentation. Is he here right now? Where is he? Eric, where are you, buddy? Oh, back there. Okay. Actually, I'm a little surprised Eric is here tonight. He had a fire in his home 2 nights ago. Sadly, the fire destroyed his entire library. He lost both books. And he only got to color in one of them. We all know the recent successes of Ted Nesbitt. He's so successful, I guess he can't be here tonight, which is a little disappointing. I'd like to have seen him. I tried one case with Ted Nesbitt before Judge Fernelli. And when we were ready to give the closing arguments to the jury, Judge Fernelli said to me, he said, "Tim, keep your closing argument to 20 minutes. Because after 20 minutes, you'll start to lose this jury." I said, "Thank you, Your Honor." And then he turned to Ted and he said, "Ted, keep your closing argument to 2 minutes. Because after 2 minutes, you'll lose this jury." But I do want to congratulate Ted on his election as judge, and he'll do a fine job. I wish him well. As a community hospital and a community asset, you're entitled to know why Grove City Medical Center has merged into the Allegheny Health Network and what the outcome of this merger may be. The Grove City Medical Center is a nonprofit charitable institution governed by a board of directors comprised of 10 individuals. And I would like to take a moment to introduce those 10 people who have been very instrumental in the merger with Allegheny Health Network. As I mention their names, I would request that any sign of appreciation or of depreciation be saved until all names are announced. Ernie May, been with us 40 years on the board of directors. If you'd stand, please. Ruth Leo, Brad Smith, Roger Toll, Lee Anderson, Dick Stevenson, Dr. Heather Mortakis, I don't know if she could make it tonight, and interestingly, Dr. Dawn Stein, who on her first meeting had to vote on the merger issue. And her vote was cast in favor of the merger, which made the board's decision unanimous for the merger. We also have with us tonight some of the key administrators of the Grove City Medical Center who, along with all of the employees and this community, made this merger possible. We have Dave Poland, if you please stand, please, who has been the Vice President of Financial Affairs and Acting Chief Executive Officer. We have Tony Bono, Vice President of Nursing, Jeannie Graff, Vice President of Quality Control, and Joanne Klobus, Vice President of Public Relations. So I'd like to take a moment and thank those members of the board and those members of the administration for making this night possible. We also have with us some new friends. and key partners from Allegheny Health Network and from Highmark Health. Jeff Carlson, Senior Vice President of Allegheny Health Network. Jeff. We have Nina Ferraro, Manager of Community Affairs for Highmark Health, and Jim Teed, who is the Regional Vice President of Sales for Highmark Health. Let's give them a warm Grove City welcome. We are a very unique community. I know you don't need to hear that from me. For most of our history, we have had two hospitals. We had the osteopathic hospital known as Bashline Hospital, and we had the city hospital where now Trinity Living Center is located, and only physicians with MDs or medical degrees could practice there. There was an intense dislike between the physicians of those two hospitals throughout their history, and that included the staff members as well. But that intense dislike was overcome by the recognition that financial failure was forthcoming if they did not merge. And so in the late 70s, discussions opened about the merger of the two hospitals in order that Grove City could have one surviving hospital. When the hospitals were merged, it was with the understanding that we would build a new hospital in this community. Quite an undertaking for a very small town. The two hospitals coming together named themselves with community input United Community Hospital. Pretty good name, realizing the circumstances which we were dealing with at that time. Therefore, in 1979, Dr. Woody Bashline, who worked at the Bashline Hospital, contributed the land where now sits the Grove City Medical Center. And construction was underway for a new hospital in Grove City, and those were exciting times for those of us who were present in the community at that time. When the hospital opened its doors in 1980, we had nothing in the bank, nothing. We had $20 million in debt. It was a very worrisome time for the community as to whether we could really make a go of this merger. On December 31, 2019, 40 years later, at the time of the closing of the merger with Allegheny Health Network, we have no debt. We have $29 million in the bank. And we have no malpractice suits. We've done pretty well with this hospital. It's been quite an accomplishment then to go from a merger of two very angry constituencies, 20 million in debt, nothing in the bank, to where we are today. And the community should be congratulated for this accomplishment. I'm going to tell you a little bit then about how this has all come together. In the first year of operation of United Community Hospital, which later became Grove City Medical Center, we had gross revenue of $7 million in 1980. The gross annual revenue of our hospital today is $45 million. On an annual basis, 16,000 people go through our emergency department. There are 85,000 outpatient procedures performed at Grove City Medical Center on an annual basis. We have 300 full-time employees and a payroll of approximately $22 million. Quite an impact on a small town in western Pennsylvania. Our hospital provides $100,000 in direct charity care to this community and its residents. And we also write off annually about $3 million in medical care that our community residents cannot afford, which is quite a mission of charity that we provide to our community. From 1980 until approximately 2010, the hospital was able to generate an annual profit, which allowed us to accumulate reserves of approximately $30 million for a rainy day. And a rainy day was forthcoming after 2010. Starting in 2010, hospitals across the United States, particularly in small towns, began to struggle. They were not able to meet all of their obligations, particularly because the government cut back on its funding. The government covers a lot of people's health care in this country. At our hospital, 50% of our patients are covered either by Medicare or Medicaid. So we know that 50% of the people coming through our doors are government covered. The government pays us about 40 cents on the dollar for each dollar of care we give to those patients. We know going into the year we have a financial issue because of the poor reimbursement programs by the federal and state governments. But despite that limitation, up through 2010, we were able to generate a profit and we were able to fund reserves because we knew the rainy days would come. And they started to come for us and for other small hospitals across the country in 2010. Our outside auditors continually told us each year, even though you're not making a bottom line profit, you have saved for the rainy day. And you are able to cover the losses with the income that was being generated on those reserves. And there are people in this room tonight who handle the investments of those reserves. And they should be heavily congratulated for that. Grove City Hospital is the last small town hospital in Pennsylvania to still be standing on its feet. The others have either gone bankrupt, been sold off for parts, or have been merged into larger institutions in which the towns have not benefited greatly from those mergers. But Grove City Medical Center's story is much different. We had one particular event that caused us a fair amount of concern in 2014. Family healthcare practices, physicians group, sold their practice to UPMC. That didn't catch us off guard. We tried to purchase those practices ourselves, but unfortunately, that didn't happen. But we knew now that this rivalry between UPMC and Allegheny Health Network, which for the most part we had avoided, was now coming heavily into our community. We had strong relationship with UPMC and with Allegheny Health Network throughout our history. But we knew this was going to be a game changer for us. And shortly thereafter, Allegheny Health Network came into the community and gobbled up the remaining physician practices. We knew in 2014 we had to make some major decisions, and we had to make a major choice. We knew that the rivalry between Allegheny Health Network and UPMC had hit us, not only on our front door, but on our back door as well. We knew that we had lost the ability to control the flow and direction of our patient base on a long-term basis. We weren't concerned about the physician groups that were being bought immediately, but we knew in the years to come, the replacement physicians who would come in for those hometown doctors would not have the same loyalty to our institution. In 2018 then, we made a decision. We decided that for the long-term viability of our hospital to meet the medical needs of this community, we had to seek a stronger partner who could control the flow of patients in our area and who could be strong enough to fend off other rival institutions that may want to enter our market and compete with a small town hospital. When our board of directors determined in 2018 that it was time to seek a partner, we set forth 3 goals as a board of directors. We wanted the new partner to be a not-for-profit corporation, which is different than some of the other smaller communities who sold off to for-profit corporations. And I can tell you, those hospitals will not have a happy ending. We knew we wanted a not-for-profit corporation to enter into a partnership with. We knew they would have the same ideas and the same ideals as Grove City Medical Center. We knew that the profits would not go into the pockets of the shareholders, but the profits would go back into the hospital to benefit our community. We also wanted a partner who was headquartered in Western Pennsylvania, not somewhere that we couldn't sit down with them at a table and discuss our concerns and our needs and our future. And thirdly, we wanted, hopefully, a hospital that owned its own insurance company. Critical. Because if you have an insurance company, you control the flow of patients. That was quite a package we put together. And I can tell you tonight, we met all 3 goals. With that definition of what we were looking for, we quickly focused on Allegheny Health Network as our first choice. The only other candidate that met that criteria, and we had good relations with them, was UPMC. But we knew UPMC could not merge with us because they could not get the necessary legal approval from the Attorney General's office and the courts. They had too much control of Western Pennsylvania, and antitrust issues would arise that would block that particular merger. And we knew if we went that route and lost, Allegheny would not be very happy with us to take us on the rebound. So we knew we had to pick the right partner on the first attempt. We also have had a very strong relationship with Allegheny Health Network throughout our history. Since we opened our doors in 1979, Allegheny General Hospital was our first partner in bringing specialists into this community. That's something I have never forgotten, and thank them for it. Grove City Board of Directors also felt that we could serve a much larger role with Allegheny Health Network than we could with UPMC. UPMC had hospitals everywhere, in Greenville, Newcastle, Franklin, Erie, Pittsburgh, they're everywhere. But Allegheny had a facility in Allegheny County, as far north as the Wexford area, but then you had to jump all the way to Erie. They had nothing in between. We felt we could fill that void with Allegheny Health Network. We would be the hospital between Pittsburgh and Erie, would have some importance in that system. With UPMC, we were just going to be another hospital in their accumulation of facilities in our area. We thought then that Allegheny might have a more regional usage of us than UPMC would, because Allegheny, combined with Highmark Health, controlled patients all around us, far beyond our own market. They had patients in Crawford County, Venango County, Butler County, Mercer County, and Lawrence County. And they had nothing between Pittsburgh and Erie. Our thought and our desire is that we could become something more than just a community hospital. And we knew the only way we could do it was with Allegheny Health Network and not our other good friend, UPMC. In September of 2018, then, contact was made with Highmark Health and Allegheny Health Network. A meeting was held, and at that very first meeting, we came to an agreement on the principle of the terms. Allegheny Health Network was excited about joining their resources with ours. Thereafter, the details of the agreement were hammered out over about a year's period of time. We had some issues we had to work through, give and take on both sides, but we ultimately came to a good agreement. The Attorney General's Office of Pennsylvania gave it their stamp of approval, saying this was one of the best mergers they have ever seen. The Mercer County Court also gave their approval to this agreement as well. Let me cover the key terms of that agreement for you. The Grove City Medical Center Board of Directors, those ladies and gentlemen I introduced to you earlier, have now resigned. And we have reformed ourselves as an advisory council. We will be interacting with Allegheny Health Network and its board and administrative team to guide and direct health care in the Grove City area and to oversee the terms of the implementation of the agreement we have reached with them. The Grove City Advisory Council will also place one of its members on the Allegheny Health Network Board of Directors. We're going to have a seat in the room with Allegheny Health Network, so you know Grove City's interests will be watched very closely. At the time of the closing on December 31, 2019, about 2 weeks ago, we had $28.5 million in reserves at the Grove City Medical Center, earned over the past 40 years with your help and assistance. That money has been transferred to the Grove City Health Foundation. The Health Foundation is comprised of the former board of directors who I mentioned to you earlier, plus 2 appointees from Allegheny Health Network. We made sure that we had overwhelming control of the foundation. We're looking for Allegheny Health Network's advice, but even they agree those monies should be controlled at the local level. In addition to the $28.5 million that we're putting into this community chest for the benefit of all of us and generations to come, Allegheny Health Network will be investing $40 million into the Grove City Health System over the next 10 years. And our advisory council will be there to monitor those investments. $15 million will be going into technology. $10 million will be going into infrastructure and equipment. And $15 million will be going into recruiting new physicians to this community. This is a win-win for our community. We're getting great medical leadership through the auspices of Allegheny Health Network, and we're getting an unbelievable community chest for the benefit of you and future generations in this community. For the next 10 years, Allegheny Health Network has pledged for at least 10 years to maintain a hospital facility in this community, and they have pledged for the next 15 years at a minimum to maintain an emergency facility in this community. Allegheny Health Network has also agreed to accept all forms of commercial insurance at the facility. This will not be a one insurance shop. Our primary motivation then to enter into this relationship with Allegheny Health Network was to improve the quality of care for the residents of this community. Allegheny Health Network is a world-class medical institution. It is comprised of 9 hospitals, 2 medical schools, over 2,400 physicians, 21,000 employees, and 2,000 volunteers. With the latest technology for the diagnosis and treatment of medical conditions. Allegheny Health Network is owned by Highmark Health, one of the largest health insurance providers in the United States. And they have assets of over $7 billion. We know we have a very secure financial partner sitting with us. They have the expertise, they have the capability, and they have the commitment to provide excellent medical care within our community. The Grove City Medical Center then has come a long way since 1980, when we started with a lot of questions and concerns. We are getting one of the world's leading medical institutions in this community, and we're getting a community fund that this community has never envisioned before. Ultimately, though, the success of this merger rests with you. It's going to be dependent upon the level of support that this community gives to the Allegheny Health Network and our hospital. We are deeply thankful to all of you who through the years have used the Grove City Medical Center as your choice for medical care and treatment. But I would call on all members of the community to get behind this merger and to support it for your medical needs, for you and your family. We need your support. We need your prayers to make sure that this merger is successful. Without the community's support, even the strongest of providers, such as Allegheny Health Network, cannot succeed. We have done our due diligence then. We have found a great partner for this community, and we have established a community chest for generations to come. But we still need your support. The Grove City Medical Center estimates that it served approximately 35% of the procedures that were performed by members of our community. The other 65% of the procedures went to facilities outside of our community. That's a concern to us and one that we have to reverse. If it were reversed, this merger may not have even happened. But it did, and it's a good thing, but we still need your support. Currently, only 10% of general surgery cases in this community are being performed at the Grove City Medical Center. This must change if this merger is going to be successful. We're only doing 20% of the orthopedic cases that are performed for residents of our community. This must change if this merger is going to be successful. Make no mistake about this comment, if this doesn't change, in 10 to 15 years, we will lose our medical facility because no one is going to stay where the community doesn't support it. And for a small town like Grove City to have this opportunity in front of it, you just can't let it go. We do need your support. We also believe that Allegheny Health Network has made a very good decision. They recognized immediately the opportunity they had in this community. They know the numbers as well as we do. And it won't take much to get the financial strength back to the facility if we get the support of the community. There is opportunity here if the community gets behind the merger. One of the things that was very interesting in these discussions with Allegheny Health Network, and I think the Chamber of Commerce will enjoy this comment. In real estate, there are three key words. We all know what they are, don't we? That's right. Location, location, location. You know what? I only had to say it once. Location. Didn't have to add the two more. Allegheny finished the sentence. They knew our location was critical to them. We sit on two major interstates, and the population of Pittsburgh is moving north. They recognize that. It won't be in my lifetime, hopefully in many of yours, but we are well situated for success in the future. And the Chamber of Commerce has played this message loud and clear on so many occasions. Well, it was heard that night when we met with the Allegheny Health Network officials. We are hopeful then that through your increased use of the facility, that this merger will have a very good ending, and that we will grow to something beyond a small local community hospital, that we started 40 years ago with no money, a lot of debt, but even more prayers and support. And we ask that again from you tonight. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Tim. We truly, truly appreciate that message. I have had the pleasure to serve as the Executive Director of the Grove City Area Chamber of Commerce since 2008. Over the past 11 and a half years, I have had the honor of working with so many wonderful and dedicated individuals serving on the Chamber's Board of Directors. Each board member gives of their time and talent to make sure that Grove City continues to be a great place to live, work, and play. I say it every year, but we are very lucky to have a group of people who serve because they care about our entire community. Having the same focus builds a cohesive group. I will read off the names of our current board and ask that they stand if they are here when they hear their name. Please hold any applause and we will recognize them together. I will begin with my executive board. President, starting in 2020, Adam Cook. Vice President, Bree Freeling. Treasurer, Nick Walters. Past President, Amy Molloy. Marketing Chair, Carmen DeRose. Membership Chair, Mitch McFeely. That is our wonderful and very committed executive team. I would also like to continue with the rest of our board. Ken Frenchak, Valvoline Express Care. Bill Grigsby, Veritas Arts and the Guthrie. Dino Neofotistos, Main Street Diner. Jeff Finch, Grove City Area School District. Greg Liska, Iron Point Financial. Abby Turner-Michael, Turner Insurance Agency, Inc. Michaela May Vrabel, George J. Howe Company. Rob Ridgway, Wendell August Forge. Amanda Arnhold, Shannon's Candy Kitchen. Joanne Clovis, AHN Grove City. John Inman, Grove City College. Can you give all of them a round of applause? So every year we recognize our outgoing board members who have served their full terms and have reached the end of their service on our board of directors. It is always sad for us to lose a retiring board member. Tonight we want to recognize 3 of our board members who retired from our board of directors at the end of 2019 simply because they had timed out on years of service. But we want to thank them for all that they have done. We are proud of their service to our chamber and to our community. When I say your name, please come forward and accept a small token of our gratitude for your time, your dedication, and your service. Tom Burdick, formerly of Burdick's Men's Clothing, who decided not only to retire from his business, but that he was done with chamber service. So he served from 2017 to 2019.
Nice suit, Tom.
Yes, would that suit have come from Burdick's? Elizabeth McCullough of Grove City Agway, serving from 2012 to 2019. Dave Poland, formerly Grove City Medical Center, but now AHN Grove City, serving from 2014 to 2019. Could you give those three a nice round of applause? We would also like to recognize our outgoing president for her service to the Grove City Chamber Board of Directors during 2019. We value her as a person and as a leader. Her dedication to the Chamber was apparent to everyone as she led the board and showed she was someone we could truly count on. Amy Molloy. I tell you, I am one lucky person. We have a terrific board of directors, and we're very, very thankful for each and every one of them. At this time, I have the honor of beginning our discussion with Leadership Grove City. So this past year, the Grove City Chamber of Commerce offered Leadership Grove City 2019. This program is designed to offer tools and information to participants to enhance their knowledge and hone their leadership abilities. Our program is broken down into 6 sessions, and they teach the participants about everything from the history of Grove City to economic development to health and human services, and even gives participants an in-depth lesson on Robert's Rules of Order, courtesy of my husband, so that they can learn how to properly lead and participate in a meeting. Each session is designed to give the participants information to build upon in order to strengthen them as a leader and prepare them to achieve higher goals in the workplace and to serve their community through committees and/or boards in their personal or professional lives. The Leadership Grove City class of 2019 was made up of 8 individuals who were selected by the steering committee. This group met for the first time in September of 2019, and over the months that followed, became a tight-knit group that considers one another friends. The Chamber requires the group to work together as a unit on a community project. This group was tasked with choosing their own community project rather than being assigned one. The hope was that they would collectively decide what they were passionate about. Also, it forced them to work together to come to a decision about what their focus would be. With several leaders, that can sometimes prove difficult. They are all here tonight and will be recognized for all of their hard work as graduates of Leadership Grove City. But first, they would like to give you a very brief presentation on their community project.
Thank you. Good evening. My name is Megan DeMason, and I am from Cannon's Chop House. It's my pleasure to speak on behalf of Leadership Grove City. Beth, aren't you proud of me? Got it right? So part of our commitment to the leadership was to agree on a class project. This ended up being fairly easy for us, surprisingly, and the 8 of us decided on something that meant the most to each one of us and touched one of us. We decided to work closely with the Rotary, so we thank you for your ongoing support and supporting us in this. And what we decided to do was raise funds for ADA-compliant playground equipment in Memorial Park. So what we wanted to do was add to the pieces that were already part of the park. And to reach our goal, we held a guest bartending event. We sold 50-50, Chinese auction, raffle tickets, and of course we reached out for monetary donations. I'll turn it over to Todd.
Thank you. Pull this out real quick. When we started this project, we set the goal of $10,000 with no real idea with what we were going to do to raise those funds. With the support of the community, we were almost able to meet this goal within 8 weeks. We will continue to raise funds until the spring of 2020 in order to meet this goal and possibly exceed it.
What Todd didn't tell you, that goal was $10,000. So we are currently about $1,500 short of that, and so we are continuing reaching out to the community to fulfill our goal. Without the support of this generous, kind-hearted community in which we either all live or reside in, this wouldn't have been possible. So we thank you from the bottom of our hearts. We appreciate it. We couldn't have raised this much money in this short amount of time without you. Like I said, Chinese auction items came from various local businesses in the area, so we thank you for that. And at this time, we would like to thank Beth for all of your time and dedication to this class. We appreciate it, as well as Ken. Thank you so much for volunteering your time to be with us. We have a small token of gratitude, so thank you. You're welcome. So on behalf of my friends and leadership, we thank you. And thank you, Beth, for inspiring us to be leaders and role models in this community. And at this time, we would like to draw those raffle tickets for our prizes. Somebody want to draw? Ken, would you like to draw?
And have you mixed them up? Where they
We're trying. Oh, don't get that one.
Dick Stevens will tell you it's the fastest way to make people hate you.
This one will be for, we have 3 prizes, and our prizes were all donated by various businesses in the community. So I want to quickly thank Montgomery Hardware, and this first prize will be for a chainsaw.
And that's
Date.
Eric's family.
Yes, and that's Eric's family. And that is Daisy Bowersocks. Second prize is for dinner for 8 at Cannon's Chop House, donated by Cannon's Chop House. Amy Molloy. Congratulations. And third prize is a handcrafted butcher block and cutting board, donated by Mark Bowersocks. Mark, I'm gonna butcher this last name.
Malcolmson.
Mark Malcolmson. See, I told you I was going to butcher it. So thank you again so much for this community. You've been an awesome support for us. So thank you.
If you guys want to come down and then I'll call your names. Okay.
So Ken, if you want to help me, we'll quickly call them up one at a time and present them with their certificates of completion and their gift of completion. So I am extremely honored to now recognize and introduce to you properly each of the members of Leadership Grove City 2019. Again, please hold all applause until all 8 of the participants have been named and recognized. First, Hannah Bowersocks of Cash Dollar and Associates. Todd Davies, McGill, Power, Bell and Associates. Megan DeMason, Cannon's Chop House. Eric Montgomery of Cash Dollar and Associates. Brian Moore of Armstrong. Sean Rinnity, Mercer County State Bank. Amanda Shep, Grove Manor. And Kelly Tomio, PNC Bank. Now please join me in applauding them for all of their hard work and leadership. And we do want to give a special thank you to each of their sponsors who enabled them to participate, and to each of the speakers who gave them the greatest gift, the knowledge and the courage to be the leaders that they were meant to be. So thank you all.
All right, the year is 2020, and I'm president of the Grove City Area Chamber of Commerce Board of Directors, and I'm looking forward to the coming year and all the activities and events that the Chamber will be part of. Our Chamber is very active, and we are glad to have you as a member. I first want to thank all of the other board members and the staff at the Chamber. They do a fantastic job, and we are blessed in a small community to have a Chamber so active. We started 2020 off with a bang. We are currently working to repair and maintain our largest physical asset, which is our building. We will continue to build on the success of 2019 by offering ways for you to be involved and network so members can benefit from one another. We will have fundraisers to support the important work that we do while helping bring awareness to our chamber community and our commerce. One way for everyone to stay involved and connected in the Grove City area and our chamber is through our social media platforms, which we have Twitter and Facebook and Instagram, which we feature posts every weekday on, where you can learn more about businesses. If you are interested in getting your information on this social media platform, please contact the chamber office. There's a little page. Thank you for your support as we make the Grove City Area Chamber of Commerce the best that it can be, and we will continue to strive to be better each year. At this time, you want to do it? Okay.
So we now get to the part of the evening where Eric Thomas, although he got a little payback earlier, will entertain us as only he can as he leads us into the presentation of the Community Service Award.
This is the one book I have in my library.
So before Eric begins, and he always begins with a roast of the room for those of you who this is your first time, we apologize in advance. But before Eric begins, I would like for all of you to turn in your program to the page that lists all of our previous Community Service Award winners. Some of these individuals have passed away over the years, including last year's recipient, Deborah Cochums. But the legacy of their good work lives on. Some of our past recipients are unable to be with us this evening, but we would like to take a moment and recognize those that are here. So please stand when I call your name, and again, please hold applause so that we can recognize them together. Dave Cashdollar, Tim Bonner, Mary Kay Maddox, Joseph D. Monteleone, Gary Turner, Dr. John Inman, what? Eric Thomas, forgot we did that. And George Pokran. So if you'd join me in recognizing these individuals.
I'll get it.
Yeah. And there's another one, but okay. So these individuals have won the Community Service Award because they have given of their time, their talents, their treasure, and because they care about their community. Someone recognized their contributions and nominated them for this award. Take the time to look around and appreciate what others are doing. Recognize one another for the good things each does. Nominate someone to receive this award in the coming years. But most importantly, Continue to do what you do to make our community great, and take the time to thank others for what they are doing as well. We do have a committee of past recipients that reviews any nominations that we receive and chooses the next recipient of the Community Service Award. The recipient is kept a secret until our annual dinner. On that note, I will introduce Trouble, Eric Thomas.
Thank you, man. Thank you, Beth. Thank you. If everybody could stand for just a second, I know it's been a long evening, so stretch out for just a second. We'll get started here. I know you've been sitting down for a long time, so I wasn't sure how this was going to work, but walking around with this might be okay. All right, have a seat, everybody. I don't want anybody falling asleep. So there you go. We forgot a couple of guys. Ernie May was a recipient of this award years ago. Mr. Dick Stevenson. There you go. My daughter asked me, Dad, how long have you been doing this award? And I said, since Dick Stevenson's award. But that was 1983. Right? That's what it says in the book. 93. 10 years, who cares? My mother always said, if you can't say something nice, don't say anything at all, so thank you and good night. No, really, I want to say thanks to the guys from Armstrong. They lent us a cable back there to make that monitor work. Thank you very much. It's not very long, but Matt will work on that. Thank you very much.
One liar, an infinite possibility.
There you go. Very good. Where's Tom Gregg? Is somebody sit on him. Just make sure he stays in place back there. Just sit down. I'm surprised to see President McNulty here. For those of you guys from Pittsburgh, you're up here from Pittsburgh, right? A lot of people up here from Pittsburgh. There you go. President Paul McNulty of the college, I'm surprised. Thank you for being here tonight. I thought you'd have duties in Washington explaining what quid pro quo is to the senators and representatives. I think we're going to make that a drinking game, right? For the next couple weeks, during this whole, what is it? Yeah, during this whole debate, I'm sure we're going to hear that many, many times. My brother, Doug, is going to Florida tomorrow, so make sure you have enough liquor to listen to quid pro quo. For those of you who may not know, President McNulty was in the Justice Department years ago and decided to can all that and come and be with us here in Grove City, so thank you very much. I'd also like to have a couple comments here. Jeff Finch is a member of this board. His lovely wife Marguerite is here tonight. She's beautiful, she's funny, she's great to be around. I have no idea what she sees in him. But he's a member of the board and he's our superintendent of schools and doing a great job for our kids. So I wanted to pass that along. Didn't Tim Bonner do a good job tonight? Thank you very much, Tim. Not really just tonight, but the last 40 years, right? You've been working on this idea. But thank you for explaining it all to us. Our two kids were born at the hospital. So if my wife becomes pregnant again, I vow to use the hospital services. All right? Can anybody else make that statement? That's community support. Come on. So if that happens, I'll need a heart transplant. But you may not have heard in November, Mayor Riddle, where are you, Randy Riddle, made a proclamation for a Timothy Bonner Day in Grove City, right? Well, Tim being the humble guy, Randy wanted it to be a parade and a whole weekend celebration and a band, and I don't know. Tim being the humble guy said no thank you and just reduced it to a day, but it really ended up being 15 minutes in the gazebo at Joseph D. Montleone Youth Festival Park. It was from 2:45 in the morning till 3. So it was really the Timothy Bonner quarter hour. Tim's a brilliant guy, but don't pick on the guy that's going to speak after you. Right? When Tim accepted the Community Service Award in 2005, he was very humble then too, and I remember when he looked around the room and saw people from the United Way, and he saw members of the Rotary Club and folks that were Sunday school teachers. And he said then that there are many people deserving of this award. And he was right then, and he's right today. So thank you, Tim. So my daughter and I had the opportunity to visit Washington, D.C. not too long ago, Paul, and enjoyed it. We went to the monuments and museums and just had a great time together. But we got to the Lincoln Memorial early one morning, and as I stood in front of that sculpture of a huge man sitting in a chair, his head slightly bowed, and this expression on his face, I could almost see the weight of the world on his shoulders. I thought about the decisions that he had to make and the atrocities that he had seen. You know, the Civil War pitted brother against brother, and neighbors killed neighbors. In total, over 600,000 Americans died in the Civil War. We were a divided nation. When the war ended, we worked together to heal those wounds and become stronger. And then we walked down the steps of the Lincoln Memorial, and we're standing in the very place that Martin Luther King delivered his I Have a Dream speech. It had an impact on me. 100 years before that August 1963, Abraham Lincoln freed the slaves. So Dr. King delivered his famous speech. The nation was divided then. And when he was speaking those words and fighting for civil rights, he was so vocal that a man thought he could silence him with a bullet. But his work and legacy of peaceful demonstration has lived on for generations. So let freedom ring. The next stop for us was a short walk across the mall to the Vietnam War Memorial. I was too young to be drafted into that war, but remember guys in the neighborhood saying goodbye as they left for Vietnam. I also remember some people exercising their constitutional rights to protest against the war. Now those guys may not have agreed, but those soldiers fought and died to protect the freedom of all Americans. And yes, Tim, I read a book recently. I want to show you. It's not a coloring book. It's called Every Man's a Hero. It's a true story about Ray Lambert, who was a medic in World War II. And he landed in Sicily and in Africa, North Africa, and then on the beaches in Normandy on D-Day, which is miraculous. He survived all three and went on to live an amazing life in his 90s. But chapter 13 of that book was entitled Legacy, and I'd like to share a couple of those paragraphs with you right now. Ray said this, he said, "I was born in a place of rich soil and richer possibility at a time far different from the present, yet recognizable by the threads that have led us here. I was endowed with great wealth, but not money. It was a simpler world in the ways that are often spoken of, but I and my generation face the same complex truths and harsh realities mankind has wrestled with since Adam and Eve. As many before and since, I discovered that evil can be an overwhelming force in the world, that fear and courage can be close companions, and that wanting to do the right thing is no guarantee that you will succeed. I also discovered that loss can be overcome, that love can survive separation, and that saving a man's life is its own reward. I learned what it feels like to kill. I learned what it's like to see the last breath of a close friend. Some things I saw and learned that cannot be fully described. What words can explain the way a bullet spins through the head of a man? But there are many things that I saw that all of us, being human, can understand and feel, like the grin on your child's face Christmas morning. Every man's life takes its own course, tracing a path like a solitary raindrop sliding down the pavement. But that path can be seen as part of a much larger whole, a river perhaps, running to the sea. And so my story, with all its specific twists and turns, its tragedies and happiness, is not my story, or even the tale of my generation. It is the story of America and the world. I'm telling my story in these pages not for my glory or even that of my fellow soldiers, but for the future, for my grandchildren's grandchildren, so they may understand that the struggles they face are not insurmountable. They will live in a far different time than I, but we will have much in common. They too will be tested and tempted. I pray that my story will make some small contribution to the ultimate triumph I know they will achieve. Being a role model and helping future generations to achieve is what our recipient tonight is all about. Not just in his business, but in this community as well. This honor is bestowed on a person who was nominated by another member of the community, and they look for people who serve the community through personal involvement, display community leadership, and become completely involved in a project leading to a better, more progressive Grove City. This is an organization that's dedicated to helping people in business, and it's made up of people with different backgrounds and different faiths. We have Republicans and Democrats working together to make the community a better place, and that's why this honor has always been so special. It celebrates someone who is successful in the business world but has a heart to make other people's lives better. One of the qualities that is part of this honor is the willingness to get involved, to step up and make a difference. According to the CEO of the YMCA and the president of this organization, Mr. Adam Cook, our recipient made a difference when he served on the YMCA board for 10 years, as well as the fiscal and audit committee. He was a liaison on the purchase of the deck hockey arena contents and was instrumental in the budget and purpose of the arena. He also brought fresh ideas to the table and helped with many audits and financial practices we use at the Y today. He was always willing to help and push the business and practices of the Y forward. He has never said no to the church, unquote. That is what Father Mike Allison from Beloved Disciple told me. And he went on to say that we have become friends and I cherish and value that friendship. I know that he's a busy man with a big family, but he just continues to serve. He lives his life based on the verse, "To whomsoever much is given, of him shall be much required." And during a meeting at the church, it was his suggestion that we start a ministry to the homeless, and it has had an impact on many lives. Our recipient loves kids and has been a softball and Little League coach for years. He's been a Little Eagles football coach. He's a member of the Grove City Sportsman Club for the last 48 years. That's right, 48 years. He's been a member of the Knights of Columbus and has served as the finance council moderator for the Beloved Disciple Church for the last 20 years. He has served on the executive board as the treasurer of the 7980 Interstate Development Corporation. It really seems like this guy's larger than life, which leads me to a story from the bank where he works. As a marketing promotion, someone got the bright idea to have life-size cutouts of the staff produced, and they were put in the chamber window so that people in town would know who were going to be working in this branch. Well, fast forward about 10 years, and the recipient's cutout was still in the closet when he went on vacation. So the staff thought it'd be a good idea to put that cutout at his desk in his office, which they did. So customers came in throughout the week he was gone and waved to it, even spoke to it. I don't know where they got it made, but it must have been really a good job. Of course, it was cardboard, didn't answer back. And there was one customer, very good customer that came in often, didn't even think about it, walked straight into the office, and by the time he got inside the office door, he realized it was cardboard. And without skipping a beat, he said, "Well, that's the most work he's done in years," and walked out. Just goes to show you the comfort that the customers have. He's not just a banker, he's their friend. Our honoree grew up with a large family and has built a large one of his own, including 6 children and 12 grandchildren. and I understand that there are 2 more on the way later this year. All those kids need love and support, and he's been there to provide it. His son Nick said, "He has played a pivotal role in my life through his actions. He has shown me how to be the best person possible. He is one of the most selfless people I know. Myself, my family, and our community are better off because of him. I can only hope that I instill the quality in my child the way he has instilled it in me. I am a better person because I have had him in my life, and I cannot thank him enough for everything he has done for me and the rest of our family." Daughter Amy said, "I really hate referring to him as my stepfather. I preferred to call him my bonus dad. I think this alone says a lot about him as a person, a father, and as a friend. Most step families are looked at as non-relatives who are pushed upon us. Having him come into my life in my late teens was probably the best thing that ever happened to me and my family. He is, in fact, the definition of family. He made an effort to combine 2 families to feel like one, and he succeeded. He has befriended my own father and has made sure to include him in all the family activities as well. This is not an easy task to accomplish. He is a stand-up father figure to us all. He is a friend to many. He is a devoted Christian. He is passionate in all that he does, whether it be his career, literature, movies, community outreach, faith, and family. His world revolves around his compassion and service to others. This world needs more bonus dads like him." And daughter Stephanie said, "Throughout my life, I've definitely given my dad a run for his money. I can remember being about 7 or 8 years old and getting into trouble for something, and my punishment was being sent to my room, which in the 1990s was so boring. No TV, no phone, no tablet, no video games, nothing," she said. And for what seemed like an eternity, then my dad came upstairs to talk to me about why I was being punished. And I can remember him hugging me, and I'm sure he gave me his assessment of what actually happened and how it really was fair. But there's no way I could have accomplished half of what I've done in my lifetime without the constant love, guidance, and wisdom of my dad. He stood beside me throughout relationships, divorce, raising my own children, college, going to war, and more than a few moves and jobs. One of the many lessons he has taught me is that you should always do what is right, regardless of the situation. My dad has been through so much in his personal and professional life, living up to that mantra, I'm sure, was difficult for him at times, but ultimately was the right thing to do. Being a man of God, my dad has also taught me to be patient and understanding even when it was difficult. All of these character traits have helped me in my life more than he will ever know. I'd do just about anything to be there tonight to see him be honored but the military has me occupied in training at this very moment. She went on to say, I'm just trying to help the world to do what is right. We're lucky to have him here tonight in the flesh. Ladies and gentlemen, John Gilliland. That's for you, and that's for you.
I used to like coming to this event because I liked to sit and try to figure who Eric was talking about while he was doing this. And when I realized who he was talking about tonight, that's when the panic set in. Not a gifted speaker as Eric and Beth and some of the others are, but I try to do my best. There's a lot of kind words said, and I think everybody in this room knows that nothing gets accomplished by yourself. You work together with a group. Some of the many accomplishments that we've had in some of the groups that we've been in have been because of a lot of people. I really can't believe that my wife kept this a secret. Secrets are really not very well kept in our family. So I'm kind of amazed, and I'm pretty proud of her for doing that. You know, my dad once told me years ago, he said, this was way back in the early 60s, of course. I asked him why he was so involved in his community. And he said, you got to give back. So I've tried to do my best to follow in his footsteps. I'm really humbled by this, and I will try to continue to do the best I can to give back to my community. Thank you.
We have a little surprise for him. Who are those folks? Can you see?
I see them. I can't believe the grandkids didn't tell me. They tell everything.
So even John's mom snuck in without him even noticing.
Yeah, and I did not see
You
them.
didn't notice.
Wow.
Congratulations again. Very, very well deserved.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. And that concludes this evening's festivities, but one of the things that I would love to point out to you is the centerpieces in each of the tables. We got those from Coker's Grove City Flowers, and we would love for you to fight over who gets to take them home. So please help yourselves. We would love for you to enjoy those. And again, we just want to say thank you so much for joining us this evening and having a wonderful evening. It's all because of you that we are the successful chamber we are. Thank you.
Armstrong Local Programming has always delivered an exclusive and unique perspective on the very best events your region offers. High school sports, community events, parades, all your favorite shows from Armstrong are now calling the Neighborhood Channel their home.
Hi, I'm Kate. Join me for the Butler Buzz and other great local events and shows on the Armstrong Neighborhood Channel.
Find out everything that the Neighborhood Channel has to offer at